Pastor Roy Gearhart from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. Well, summer's gone, fall is here, soon we'll be slipping away into winter, and the seasons continue to change. Life rolls on like some unstoppable force that just keeps moving. And some days it feels like it rolls right over top of you, as if you have no power to stop it and no means by which to even compete in the dance. I am so thankful that God is with us and is not absent from any season in our life. I've had so many seasons in my life that have been beautiful and filled with joy and celebration, and I've also had seasons in my life that have been filled with the brokenness that comes from sin, the grief that comes from loss, the pain that comes from decay. I've had all of those seasons, and not one of them has God ever forgotten me. I joined David in marveling at God. That we saw earlier in the week in Psalm 139, David marveled that God bothers to think of us. And thinks of us, though, in such an extensive way that David said, I can't even keep up with all that you're thinking of. I couldn't imagine counting up all of your thoughts, all of your plans, your ideas, your purpose for my life. But David celebrated the fact that God knows every single day of our life. We are thought of so personally that we're not just a herd, that God can't distinguish one from another. No, God knows each and every one of us. Jesus described it saying that God knows us even down to the number of hairs on our head. In Psalm 8, David celebrated this, saying, God, your name is so wonderful, magnificent, marvelous. Whatever superlative you want to place to it, God, you are great. And he said, yet you have made us only a little lower than yourself. You've put us in charge here in this world, created us and said, here, rule over this earth, take charge, live. And David says, I can't even imagine, God, that you would stop and think of us. You know, some of that comes out of days whenever we've been in the season of life where sin has broken us. You say, God, I can't imagine that you would think of me. Not in a moment like this, not a loser like me, not someone who is so undeserving. And yet, the Bible is crystal clear that God never stops thinking of us in those moments. In Romans 5, it says that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. While we were sinners, that is exactly when God thought of us and said, I'm going to be there. I'm going to reach, and I'm going to rescue. Some of the moments of our life when we marvel that God would bother to think of us, or those days whenever we are lost in such grief and brokenness that we can't see anything good in this world. And in moments like that, we may even cry out to God and behave as if God has forgotten us, claim that God has left us down. But even in those moments, he is with us. The writer of Hebrews reminds us that we have a high priest who is not far removed from us, but one who has shared all of our sufferings. We know that Jesus came into this world in flesh and blood, and he suffered all kinds of abuses, physical pain and suffering, death, and that all including betrayal by a friend. Such suffering tells us that he is one who knows us, cares about us, and will never forsake us, even in the midst of our worst days, whether we have caused them or someone else. He's still there. And so David marveled at that, and we continue to marvel that God thinks of us in those moments. But I'll tell you, it's not just when you are suffering that you think of God, but in the moment of joy, when you know that he has restored you, when your life has been revived, that's when you cry out and say, oh God, you're so marvelous. I can't imagine that you think of me, that you've blessed me so richly. When the comfort of God's presence sweeps into your heart in the midst of grief and sorrow, brokenness, you're no longer abandoned, but you're home, safe and sound. God is with you, always thinking of you, always a marvel. May God bless you today. And as you share this good news, may God make you a blessing wherever He takes you.